Uh, this Roma gypsy, they were not asked because in one another article it was used the word choice. You don't choose. They don't give you a choice if you don't have the right to answer it. When you have a choice, you can choose yes or no, but they give you a choice which they say you have to go, and that's it. That's not actually a choice. That's deporting. And during when I was reading newspapers about this topic, the media didn't do a big deal out of it. I mean, BBC wrote some articles, of course not in front page, in page 9 or 10, and other medias they didn't even mention it. But all these minorities' rights were actually they were not respected, and by law and by the democracy, these people have the right to stay there, and France should allow them to be part of their society. I also would like to focus on the Muslim communities around Europe because it's, at least for 10 years, it's been the most discussed topics everywhere. Of course, I will again start about France. No, I hold nothing against France. I just don't like the politics of France. Mr. Sarkozy, when in his interview for the Scrape TV, he said that immigrants are France has problems today because of immigrants. If there were no immigrants in France, France wouldn't have any problems. Well, guess what? You have immigrants, and actually it's not immigrants' fault. It's actually your politics that you couldn't actually integrate these people into your society. He says that, and this comment actually doesn't come from a common person, or I don't know, it comes from the ex-president of France. And if we are based on the Burger's concept that I read about the society, we will understand that the society that Mr. Sarkozy is actually trying to build is a society that hate immigrants, don't want them in their country. So this is a big problem. And also also France tried to, in parliament, in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, try to actually ban the Muslim veil for women. They couldn't wear it in public. If they would wear it, they would take a fine, about 500 euros. And if they'd still go out with their veil, they could actually be arrested for wearing their veil. France was the first country in European Union that actually approved this law. And also, even though there were a lot of protests about this, France still went on with this law. And it was after France, a lot of other countries started discussing the topic. Netherlands actually approved it. United Kingdom is still holding on it. It's waiting for 2013 to be approved. So my question is, why cannot a person wear whatever he wants? Why in France people are allowed to wear skirts, miniskirts, dresses? Why a Muslim woman cannot cover her face? Well, based on Mr. Sarkozy's interview, he said that in France people have to see who they talk to. Well, what if I don't want to? Is it not my choice in democracy? Don't I have a choice to wear what I want? Don't I have a choice to choose what to wear? Another example is Switzerland, when they try in 2009, they vote to ban the minarets in Switzerland. Charles Lewis, a journalist, in his article, he wrote, "The vote to ban minarets in Switzerland warns Muslims to pay more heed to local sensibilities while highlighting the larger problems of Europe's failure to integrate immigrants. Experts say this is an unfortunate exhibition of Islamophobia." Amila Buturovic said, she's an associate professor of religious studies at York University in Toronto, "As a Bosnian Muslim, I think this is another way of saying that Islam is not a European reality, but Islam has been in the Balkans for 500 years, and it's not European novelty." In Swiss journal, there were also minarets drawn as missiles, which was actually quite discriminating. Well, this is most of my paper because I don't think we have a lot of time. And
Okay.
any questions?
Just a short interference. Okay, Mr. Bekteshi, it was a very interesting thing. First of all, I don't think France is quite bad with regard to minorities. You should know that Mr. Sarkozy, who left the presidency, was himself, I think, an immigrant, Jewish, Greek, Hungarian origin, and he became the president.
Yeah, but he never mentions that. He doesn't
But,
accept. He
we are pretty
says-
sure about his roots of origin.
Yeah.
Second, even your name, which I really like it, Louis, you know, could be pronounced in French. Well, that was just to tease you a bit. Are there any questions from people that are present?
I just have one brief comment. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have a very brief comment to continue on the France point, was that yes, Sarkozy is the son of an immigrant, but the reason he never mentions it as well is because France is based on a civic model of participation. It's the French identity that overrules everything else. And France hasn't actually recognised minorities, so you can't have legislative minority protection. The idea is that you should become French and adhere to this overarching model. And I think to be so condemning on France is unfair, given that the North African countries constitute a large majority of the immigrants, and they will describe themselves as French unless it's in the context of a football match.
It's very interesting when the comment from France, you know, comes from Britain.
I lived in France for the past 4 years.
And you identify yourself with what?
I would say, by the way, also Britain is in Europe.
Yeah, that's good. You have another comment, you know, from your colleague over there.
First, I would like to say I'm not discriminating France or saying anything bad about it. You know, I have no idea about laws, actually. I'm not a lawyer. I graduated in sociology. So I just analyze the facts, and in my opinion, France has big problems. It's not in my paper, but a few years ago, 2 Arabs were left to die by police in France. They were hit by the police car in their motorcycle, and they were left there. They wouldn't call any help. They just ran off. And there were big protests about this. France is always in the center when there is problem about minority, or when there is scandal about this. So this is what, like I say, they are not actually. And also the Mr. Sarkozy, in his interview, explaining that the problems of France come because of immigrants. Well, this is not a comment that should come by the president of a democratic country.
Well, thank you. In this session, as you saw, we had 3 papers for the minorities. It is still an unsolved problem, not only in Albania, but in Balkans, Europe, you know, all over. Thank you very much for your participation. I invite, you know, the participants to join us for lunch, 7th floor. Thank you.
Hello.